Sarava bit his shoulder again, gentle, instinctive, overwhelmed with joy. Jonathan only laughed until he leaned in and softly bit her back. If you enjoy heartwarming HFY romances like this one, don't forget to subscribe for more stories every day. Snow drifted between neon street lamps as Jonathan walked through the bustling colony market with Sarava at his side, her glowing amber eyes wide with wonder. She was a VULPINE hybrid, sharp ears, fiery hair, and a tail that exposed every emotion she tried and failed to hide. People stared at them, unsure if they were seeing a dangerous predator or an overly affectionate girlfriend about to tackle her boyfriend with cuddles. She didn't make that any easier. She was sniffing him again, loudly. Jonathan sighed with the resigned fondness of a man who had accepted his fate months ago. Jonathan had grown used to the unique rhythm of dating a foxwoman, though rhythm implied order, and Sarava had none. She was all instincts and impulses, wrapped in bright red hair and a fluffy tail she couldn't control. A tail which, for the third time that morning, had curled around his leg as they walked. "Sarava," he murmured, glancing down. "Your tail's doing the thing again." She gasped, grabbed it like she'd just been caught shoplifting, and tucked it behind herself. "Says sorry. It has a mind of its own today." Her ears flicked frantically. "You're warm, and it's cold, and I didn't mean to cling." Jonathan couldn't help smiling. "I didn't say it was a problem." That made her blush so fast, her breath visibly puffed in the winter air. When she got flustered, she tended to escalate straight to meltdown mode, and that was always adorable. Her eyes darted everywhere except his face. They passed a shop window decorated with shimmering hollow ribbons. Sarava pressed her hands to the glass, tail swishing behind her. "Look, Jonathan, they have the Lunar Festival sweets." He chuckled. "You want some?" "I want all of them," she declared with dramatic seriousness. Her enthusiasm alone could have powered the streetlights. He bought her the pastries, not because she insisted, but because watching her happiness unfold was worth every credit. She practically danced on the spot, clutching the warm box to her chest. Her purring rumbled like a small engine. And then she bit him. It wasn't hard. It wasn't painful. Just a sudden, instinctive chomp on his shoulder through his coat, as if she'd been overwhelmed by a burst of affection. The moment she realized what she'd done, her whole body went rigid. Jonathan, I'm so sorry," she squeaked, stumbling backward. "It was the sweets and the warmth and you smelling like cinnamon and I can't control it sometimes." Jonathan rubbed the spot lightly, mostly teasing her. "You know, most girlfriends kiss their boyfriend when they're happy." "I do kiss you," she protested. "You also bite." Sarava curled into herself, tail wrapping tightly around her waist like a belt of shame. "It's an instinct. It's a VULPINE overjoyed response. I did, but I didn't consciously, I didn't want to." Her voice cracked in pure mortification. "Please don't think I'm a feral beast." He stepped forward, cupping her warm cheeks in his hands. "I think you're cute." Her ears flattened. "I bit you." And it was adorable. Her jaw dropped. She stared at him with round, glowing eyes, as if she couldn't believe he wasn't angry. Then her entire body sagged with relief, followed immediately by another purr that rose without her permission. "Stop being kind about it," she muttered weakly. "You're making it worse." "Would you prefer I scream in terror?" "Maybe a tiny bit," she said, then brightened. A dramatic faint could be romantic. He laughed outright. "I'm not fainting because you love bite me." "Don't call it that," she yelped, covering her face. "That makes it sound intimate, isn't it?" she squeaked again. They continued walking, Sarava glued to his side with embarrassed affection, tail twitching every few steps. Every time he glanced at her, she looked away quickly, pretending she wasn't still mortified. But halfway down the snow-dusted alleyway, she whispered, "Thank you for not getting mad." "Sarava," he said gently, "you're dating me, not some uptight ambassador who can't handle a nibble." She groaned at the wording. "Don't say nibble. Humans say nibble in a tone." Jonathan grinned. "Good tone or bad tone?" She refused to answer, ears so red he could feel the heat radiating off them. As they reached the colony shuttle platform, she slipped her hand into his coat pocket, fingers curling around his, a habit she'd formed early in their relationship. She always looked surprised when he squeezed back, like every touch was somehow new. Then, softly, "I'll try not to bite again." "You won't succeed," he said. She froze. "Hey, you're welcome." She scowled at him, then burst into laughter so bright it lit up the winter street. She leaned into him, head on his shoulder, purr rising like warm static. And despite her earlier promise, she whispered, "If you give me more sweets, I might bite you again." "That's a threat." "That's a warning," she corrected proudly. Jonathan smiled, tugging her closer as snow fell around them. Dating Sarava was chaos. Sweet, affectionate, unpredictable chaos. And he wouldn't trade a single moment of it. She was already nibbling at his sleeve again. Sarava realized she was nibbling on his sleeve only when Jonathan lifted an eyebrow at her. She froze mid-bite like a startled woodland creature. Her eyes widened, canines still gently pressing into the fabric. I'm doing it again, aren't I?" she whispered. "Yep." She released his sleeve like it had suddenly turned radioactive. "I swear I'm civilized. Truly. I use utensils. I pay taxes. I only sometimes chase squirrels." He blinked. "You chase squirrels?" She looked away very fast. No. That was, of course, a lie. The shuttle doors opened with a hiss, and Sarava practically bounded inside, still holding the box of festival sweets like treasure. When they found seats, she plopped down beside him, too close, as always, her tail draped over his lap without her noticing. He nudged the fluffy mass lightly. "Tail!" She gasped and yanked it back so fast it smacked her own face. She squeaked, rubbing her cheek. "It has betrayed me. It does that a lot." "I'm aware." Jonathan bit back a laugh. Her instincts weren't just quirks, they were personality. Every emotion she felt traveled straight from her brain to her ears, tail, and sometimes teeth, with absolutely no filter. The shuttle began moving, drifting between tall, crystalline towers. Sarava leaned into him, munching her sweets, glowing eyes flicking from window to window. Then she sniffed. At him. Again. It was loud and unashamed. Jonathan sighed. "Another new habit?" "It's not new," she said matter-of-factly. "You smell nice." "What does that mean to you?" Sarava blinked as if it was the simplest thing in the world. "It means I like you. A lot. And I want to be near you. Also." She leaned in, sniffed again with delicate precision. "You smell warm. Comforting. And a tiny bit like stress." "Stress?" "You were trying to decide which pastries to buy." She smiled proudly. I could smell the internal conflict. He stared at her. "That's not concerning at all. I think it's cute." "You think everything I do is cute." "That is correct." He tried not to melt at that, but failed instantly. A few minutes later, an elderly human couple boarded and sat across from them. They offered a polite nod. Sarava returned it with a charming smile. And then immediately purred because Jonathan brushed a hand along her arm. Both elders jumped. Sarava slapped both hands over her mouth, wide-eyed. I wasn't loud, was I?" "You were," Jonathan murmured. "I can't believe this," she whispered in horror. "Public purring is forbidden. It's mortifying." The old woman across from them chuckled. "Sweetheart, he must be treating you very well." Sarava made a noise that could only be described as a dying kettle. Jonathan stifled a grin as she slumped against him, hiding her face. When they finally returned to their apartment, Sarava was still flustered. The moment the door closed, she whirled on him, ears low, hands on her hips. "You caused that." "How exactly?" "You touched my arm right when I was trying to look sophisticated and alluring." "And that made you purr?" She groaned dramatically, throwing herself onto the couch. "Everything you do makes me purr. Breathing near me makes me purr. Existing in my vicinity causes emotional combustion." He laughed as he joined her. "Existence is all it takes? Harsh." "That is not what I meant, and you know it." He slipped an arm around her waist, pulling her gently against him. She melted almost instantly, instinct overpowering her indignation. A soft, purring vibration started in her chest, no matter how desperately she tried to suppress it. "See?" he said softly. "Don't point it out," she squeaked. "You're cute when you're grumpy." "Stop." But she was already leaning her head against his shoulder. After a moment, she whispered, "Do you ever think maybe dating me is too much? Too chaotic? Too bitey?" He didn't hesitate. "Never." Her ears lifted. "Really? Really?" He brushed a hand through her hair, watching her eyelids flutter. "You make my days better, even when you purr loud enough to scare old people." She groaned again, grabbing a couch pillow to hide her burning face. "I will never emotionally recover from that." He plucked the pillow away. "Good. I want you right here." She froze. Then, slowly, her expression softened into something tender, bright, warm, vulnerable. "Jonathan, you say things that make my heart feel like it's trying to leap into your hands." "That's a weird description." "It's a VULPINE compliment," she insisted. "Then I'll take it." And because she couldn't help herself, because joy rushed through her like electricity, she bit him again, right on the shoulder, then realized it and absolutely detonated with embarrassment. "Why do I keep doing that?" Jonathan laughed and held her tighter. Sarava didn't calm down for a full 10 minutes. She paced the living room in frantic circles, tail puffed to triple size, ears pinned flat like she was preparing for an existential crisis. "I'm malfunctioning," she declared dramatically. "I'm a defective foxwoman. I should come with a warning label." Jonathan lounged on the couch, watching her spin in anxious loops. What would the warning label say? She pointed at him accusatorily. "May bite when emotionally compromised." That's accurate. "Not helping?" He chuckled, patting the cushion beside him. "Come here." "No," she shouted, then immediately came over and sat in his lap because her instincts had absolutely zero respect for her decisions. He wrapped his arms around her waist. She froze, stiff as a startled deer. Then the purring began, quiet at first, then louder, building into a warm hum that vibrated against his chest. "See?" he murmured. "You're fine." "I am not fine," she whispered, burying her face in his shirt. "I bit you again. That's 3 times today. That's a pattern." "You say that like it's a bad thing." "It is a bad thing," she squeaked. "It's instinctive. I can't stop. You make me—" She waved her hands helplessly. "Over happy." "Over happy?" he repeated. "Yes." She folded her arms dramatically. "Humans get butterflies. Foxwomen get pounce energy." He laughed. That explained so much. But Sarava wasn't done spiraling. She sat up straight, eyes wide with panic. "What if next time I bite too hard? What if I leave a mark? What if your human friends think you're dating a wild animal?" "They already think that." She collapsed onto him like she'd been shot, Jonathan. He grinned and stroked between her ears, her weakness. Her back arched involuntarily, tail swaying in a hypnotic slow wave as a soft moan purr escaped her throat. Don't do that, she stammered. Why not? Because it makes me feel like gelatin. He kissed the top of her head. Good. She wriggled, torn between indignation and love. You're impossible. And you're adorable. Her cheeks glowed pink again, bright enough to match her hair. She tucked her face under his chin and inhaled deeply, taking another one of her signature sniffing breaths. You're doing it again, he whispered. Shh, she murmured. I'm evaluating your emotional state. By sniffing me. That is the most natural method. What does it tell you right now? She paused, sniffed again. You're amused, fond. And thinking about kissing me. He blinked. You can smell that? Yes. Okay, that's a little terrifying. She smiled smugly, but useful. He leaned back, studying her glowing eyes. You know, if my emotions are that obvious to you, then I don't need to hide anything. She blinked, suddenly shy. What do you mean? I mean, I like you, a lot, and I'm not scared of your instincts. He brushed her cheek lightly. Or your teeth. Sarava made a soft noise, somewhere between a whine and a purr, and her tail wrapped around him again, squeezing in a slow embrace. Don't say things like that, she whispered. Why not? Because it makes me want to. She bit her lip, hard. Do the thing. What thing? She hid her face completely. Bite. He laughed gently. You can, I don't mind. No, she jerked back, horrified. Not unless I have control, and I have none. He pulled her back against him, and she melted instantly, fingers gripping his shirt as though she never wanted to let go. Sarava, you're learning. It's fine. It is not fine, she mumbled into his collar. I'm supposed to be graceful. You're plenty graceful. I fell off a counter last week. He tried not to laugh. That was because you saw a laser pointer. Her tail thumped in deep embarrassment. Don't bring up the laser. He kissed her forehead. Point is, you're perfect. She went very still. Slowly, gently, she looked up at him, eyes softening, ears lowering with a quiet vulnerability. You mean that? Every word. Her throat tightened. She tilted her head, brushing her nose against his jawline in that affectionate nuzzle she always did right before. He braced for it. But instead she whispered, I want to do human things more. Human couple things, like movie nights and cooking and sharing a blanket. We can do all of that. And I want to learn human affection better. She fidgeted, because I want you to be proud of me. Sarava, I already am. She inhaled sharply and gently bit his collarbone. She realized too late. Her eyes widened. No, I didn't. I meant to kiss. Ah. Jonathan laughed so hard he almost fell sideways, pulling her down with him onto the couch as she died inside from embarrassment. I'm broken, she wailed. You're adorable, he corrected, kissing her flushed cheek. She pouted. One day you're going to snap and bite me back. He smirked. Maybe I will. Her ears shot up. She stared at him. You wouldn't. He didn't answer. Her tail puffed, and the panic set in. Sarava's ears were so stiff that they looked like they might snap. Her pupils shrank to tiny glowing pinpoints of alarm. She grabbed his shoulders with both hands, leaning in as if interrogating him. Jonathan, you need to clarify. Right now. Immediately. This second. Are you joking? Are you serious? Are you half joking, quarter joking, 1/8 joking? Because my heart is doing cartwheels. He just smiled innocently. Why? Nervous. I'm terrified, she squeaked. Biting back it's... She flailed dramatically. It's unbelievably intimate. Is it, though? Yes, she yelped. It's like fox mating level affection. You can't just threaten that casually. Threaten? He raised an eyebrow. I didn't say it was a threat. She froze. Her tail puffed so big it looked like an explosion of orange fluff. You, she whispered, jaw dropping. You would do that? You would actually bite me back? He shrugged. Maybe, if the moment felt right. She made a high-pitched noise he wasn't sure was legal. Then she scrambled off the couch, pacing in frantic circles. No. I'm not ready for that level of emotional intimacy. I'm still recovering from the last time you held my hand for too long. We held hands for 5 minutes, he said. That's practically forever in VULPINE time. He snorted. What does that even mean? It means physical closeness creates instinctive bonding urges. And you're very warm, and your heartbeat is steady, and your skin smells like comfort, and you're making me say too much again. Stop looking at me. She grabbed a pillow and squished it over her face. Jonathan stood and gently pried it away. Sarava, relax, I'm not going to pounce on you or anything. You might. I won't. But you could. Still won't. She pointed at him with trembling indignation. You say that, but humans are unpredictable. One moment you're calm and teasing, the next moment you're leaning in, all close and whispering sweet things that make my tail go rogue. He blinked. Is your tail going rogue? She turned around. Her tail was swishing wildly. Traitor, she muttered at it. He couldn't help laughing. Come here, you chaotic creature. She took one hesitant step toward him, then another, eyes wide like she expected him to attack her with cuddles. When he simply extended his hand, she placed hers in it softly, shoulders relaxing. See, he said. Nothing scary. She exhaled shakily. I'm not scared of you. I'm scared of what my instincts will do if you decide to bite me. I'll probably combust. He wrapped his arms lightly around her. Sarava melted instantly, cheek pressed against his chest, purr rising in a deep, warm hum. You're overthinking everything, he murmured. I overthink everything, she admitted, clinging tighter. It is my curse. Well, lucky for you, I like you exactly as you are. Her breath hitched, then turned into an immediate purr, louder and louder, as he stroked her back. You can't just say soft things like that, she complained weakly. It makes my brain go sparkly. Sparkly? Yes, like little stars in my head. She paused. Humans probably call that being in love. He froze for half a second, because that was a loaded statement, before she continued rambling obliviously. And then my instincts want me to cuddle and purr and maybe nibble on you just a tiny bit. No, wait, I didn't mean to say that. He gently cupped her cheek. Sarava. Her ears perked. You can nibble if you want. She squeaked so loudly he almost flinched. Do you have any idea what that sounds like? She wailed. Cute? No. It's adorable. No, it isn't. It's a sign of deep affection, and I'm already fighting my instincts every time you do literally anything nice. He kissed her forehead gently. She froze. Then she made the tiniest, breathiest whine, and bit him, again, a soft little bite right at the base of his neck. She realized it instantly. Her soul left her body. I'm leaving the country, she announced in a monotone. I'm going to change my name and live underground and never speak to anyone again. He laughed. You're not going anywhere. She whirled on him. You don't understand. That's a special spot. A very affectionate spot. I didn't mean to do it. It just happened. Sarava. No, don't Sarava me. I'm a menace, an uncontrollable menace. He took her hands gently. She shut up instantly. "I don't want you to hide from me," he said softly. "Not your instincts, not your feelings, not anything." She swallowed hard, tail inching around his waist without her noticing. "And Jonathan?" "Yeah?" She looked like she was gathering courage from every color of the galaxy. "If I bite you again, please don't bite me back. Not yet." She blushed furiously. "I'll explode." He brushed her cheek with his thumb and nodded. "Then I'll wait." Her eyes softened, glowing warmer than the lights outside. "Thank you," she whispered. "That means more than you know." She leaned into him, purring like a soft engine, completely unaware of how tightly she was hugging him. Jonathan held her close, smiling. He'd wait. But one day, he absolutely planned to bite her back. And when he did, Sarava was going to lose her mind. Warm lamplight filled their small apartment, soft and golden, turning the room into a cocoon of warmth against the winter outside. Sarava lay curled against Jonathan's chest on the couch, her tail wrapped lazily around his waist like a living blanket. She was already purring, soft, steady, content, her cheek pressed to his heartbeat. He held her gently, fingers brushing through her hair. The moment he touched behind her ears, she melted. Her purr stuttered into something breathy, a half whimper, half moan that vibrated against his chest. Her back arched instinctively, ears flicking upward, then drooping in bliss. That spot," she whispered, already breathless. "You know what you're doing." He smiled. "I know exactly what I'm doing." His fingertips traced slow circles just behind the base of her ears. Her entire body responded at once. Purrs rising, breath catching in tiny warm bursts, her hands gripping lightly at his shirt as if steadying herself against the wave of sensation. Her voice came out like a whisper, made of heat. "Jonathan, don't stop." He didn't. He stroked again, slow, deliberate. Sarava's head tilted up, eyes half-lidded and glowing, her lips parting in that stunned, helpless way she only did when she felt safe, truly safe with him. Purring poured out of her like soft thunder, and every few seconds a tiny sound escaped her throat that made his pulse stutter. Then, still wrapped around him, still lost in the warmth of his hands, she lifted her mouth toward his shoulder. He felt her breath first, then the soft, deliberate bite. Gentle, loving, pure instinct. She didn't even seem aware of it at first. Her purring continued through the bite, her lips brushing his skin in tiny trembling motions. But then, she froze. Only for a heartbeat, barely noticeable. But he felt it, the pulse of hesitation, the small tremor of fear. Her instincts and her embarrassment collided inside her, and she stiffened, realizing what she had done yet again. She didn't pull away, but she wanted to. He knew it. He heard her try to speak, one quiet, panicked syllable, beneath her breath. Jonathan, I." He didn't let her apologize. He didn't let her recoil. He didn't let her be ashamed. Because he had watched her worry, spiral, and fight herself over something so gentle, so natural, so her, and he decided he wasn't going to let her keep believing it was a flaw. He leaned in, slow, warm, certain, and he bit her back, just as softly, just as lovingly, just as instinctively as she had done to him. Sarava made a sound that he had never heard from her before. A half-gasp, half-moan, breath catching mid-purr. Her whole body jolted, tail shooting straight out behind her, before wagging in a frantic blur like she couldn't control it. Her purr surged into something deeper, trembling, overwhelmed. Her hands clutched at his shirt, pulling him closer without even realizing it. She tried to speak. She tried to form a word. Nothing came out. Just a tremor of breath. just a stunned, helpless sound of pure emotion caught in her throat. Her glowing eyes widened, then softened, then widened again, expression flickering between shock and joy, and something so tender it made his heart clench. She blinked up at him, lips parting, but she still couldn't speak. Her whole face was flushed, her ears quivering uncontrollably. He brushed his thumb across her cheek. "See?" he whispered. "It's okay." Her mouth opened again, but only a choked purr escaped. He kissed the place he had just bitten, slow and soft. Sarava let out a shivering breath, tail thumping wildly against the cushions, every part of her trembling with the force of her emotions. She curled tighter into him, burying her face in his neck, purring so loudly it filled the room. Finally, barely audible, she managed a single breathy word. "Why?" He smiled against her hair. "Because I love you. Because you're allowed to be you. And because you never have to be scared of giving me your heart." She made a noise that was entirely overwhelmed warmth, then pressed herself into him, holding him as if she feared the universe might vanish if she let go. Her voice was soft, shaking, stunned. "Jonathan, you can't just..." Tiny gasp pulled between her words. "Bite me like that." "Why not?" he teased gently. She couldn't answer. She couldn't even think. Her tail, still wagging uncontrollably, answered for her. She was in love. Completely, wildly, unmistakably. And now she knew, without a doubt, that he loved her just as fiercely. Sarava was still shaking, not from fear, from something much stronger. Something that made her cling to Jonathan like her body had suddenly decided he was the only source of warmth in any universe. He held her gently, letting her adjust without rushing her. Her purring was a storm now, rising and falling in trembling waves as she tried and failed to collect herself. "Sarava," he murmured softly. "Hey, look at me." She tried, truly, but her face stayed pressed into his, neck too embarrassed to move even an inch. Her tail refused to slow down, wagging in an erratic rhythm that thumped against the cushions like a heartbeat. "Sarava," he repeated, brushing her cheek. "Come on, let me see you." Very slowly, she lifted her head. Her eyes were glowing brighter than he'd ever seen, pupils wide, shimmering with something raw and emotional. Her lips parted, but the sound that came out wasn't a word, more a soft, stunned noise that held every confession she couldn't yet say. He cupped her face. She leaned into his hands instantly, as if touch grounded her. "Jonathan." She swallowed hard. "You bit me." "I did. With affection." "Yes. With meaning." "Of course." Sarava's ears trembled so much she had to grab them to make them stop. That's a VULPINE bonding gesture. You can't... Humans don't even know what they're doing when they... He leaned forward and kissed her forehead. She went silent, completely, like he'd pressed a mute button on her entire soul. "It wasn't accidental," he said quietly. "I wanted you to know I'm not scared of your instincts. I'm not bothered by them. And I don't want you ashamed of loving me." Her eyes widened. Her voice came out in a whisper, barely audible. "You really wanted to?" "Yes. But that means..." Her breath trembled in her throat. "It means something deep." "It does," he said, brushing his thumb along her cheek. "You matter to me, all of you, even the things you think you should hide." Sarava's bottom lip wobbled. Then she lunged forward and hugged him, full force, arms around his neck, tail wrapping his waist twice before she even realized she was doing it. Her purring roared, vibrating through both their chests. "I can't think," she whispered, half laughing, half on the verge of tears. "You bit me, and now my brain isn't working." "Good." "No, bad." My thoughts are liquid, jelly, sparkles. You can't do that casually. He laughed, stroking her back. It wasn't casual. She froze. It wasn't? He pulled her gently back so he could look her in the eyes. No. I did it because you keep worrying about something that doesn't bother me at all. And because I needed you to know. I want you too. Her breath caught, then dissolved into a trembling purr as she buried herself against him again, overwhelmed beyond belief. Jonathan, she whispered into his shirt. I want to say something. Something important. Then say it. She stopped. He waited. I feel. Another pause. She groaned loudly, frustrated with herself. Why are words failing? Why now? My emotions have staged a coup. He laughed softly. Because you're flustered? I am more than flustered, she declared dramatically. I am destroyed, ruined. I am a pile of emotional ashes. He kissed her cheek. She squeaked. Jonathan, she gasped, flailing. I'm trying to confess something serious, and you keep doing things. What kind of confession? He asked gently. Her hands shook as she cupped his face, pulling him close until their foreheads touched. I love you, she whispered, voice trembling. I love you so much it scares me. And when you bit me, I realized just how deeply. His chest tightened with warmth that almost hurt. He brushed his forehead against hers. Sarava, I didn't want to overwhelm you, she breathed. I didn't want to push instincts onto you. I didn't want to be too much. You're never too much. Her eyes softened, melted, deepened into something so vulnerable and tender that he felt his heart give way entirely. Say it again, she whispered. Please. He cupped her cheek, thumb stroking lightly. You're never too much, he repeated. You're exactly right. Her purr cracked. Another half-moan slipped out before she could stop it. She clapped both hands over her mouth, mortified. Oh, stars, I didn't mean. Ignore that. Erase it. Pretend it didn't happen. He kissed her. A soft, sure kiss. Her entire body went still, then slowly relaxed into him like she'd been waiting her entire life for that moment. When they pulled apart, her voice was tiny, shaking, overwhelmed. Jonathan, she breathed, I'm going to faint. You're doing great, he murmured, laughing softly as he stroked her hair. No, I'm not. I'm malfunctioning. You're perfect. Her tail thumped fast enough to vibrate the cushions. She curled into him again, burying her burning face in his chest. If you bite me again, I might melt. He smiled, holding her firmly, protectively. Then maybe, he whispered, I'll save the next one for the moment it'll mean the most. Sarava trembled, and her purr rose into a soft, trembling song of pure happiness. Sarava was still pressed tightly against him, her breath warm against his neck, her purring a trembling song that filled the quiet room. Jonathan held her in the soft glow of the lamplight, one hand resting along the curve of her back, the other gently stroking behind her ears. The moment he touched that spot again, she jolted, just a tiny, startled twitch, followed by a breathy sound that escaped before she could stop it. Her fingers curled into his shirt. Jonathan? She began, voice unsteady, ready to overflow with another apology or another flustered ramble. He hushed her gently. Don't talk, he whispered, brushing his lips near her temple. Just feel it. Just relax. Her whole body softened in his arms. She didn't speak again. She didn't need to. His fingers traced slow circles behind her ears, coaxing warmth and softness from her with every pass. Sarava's breath came in fluttering, pulses, each one trembling slightly as she leaned fully into him, losing the last of her composure in the gentleness of his touch. Her purring deepened, rolling through her chest, Her body swayed with each wave of sensation, a soft, instinctive rocking motion, as if her emotions were guiding her movements for her. She clung to him like he was the only steady thing in the world. Jonathan slid a hand slowly down the line of her spine. She shivered. A quiet, helpless moan escaped her. She didn't even try to hide it. Her face pressed into his neck again, breath hot, uneven, trembling against his skin. Her hands tightened on his shoulders, as if grounding herself, head tilting up slightly when his fingers brushed her sensitive ears again. Her purr cracked, just a little, into something breathless. And then she kissed his neck. No, bit him again, not gently this time. Still soft, still loving, but fuller, deeper. Her emotions pouring straight through her instinct. A passionate bite. The kind she'd been too embarrassed to give before. Her whole body leaned into the motion, like she needed him close, needed him warm, needed him with her in that overwhelming moment. Jonathan inhaled softly, feeling the intensity of it ripple across his skin. And he didn't hesitate. He bit her back, slowly, warmly, intimately, matching her instinct for instinct. Sarava gasped, a small, sharp sound of pure feeling, her breath catching against his neck as her hands clutched at him with trembling urgency. Her tail wrapped tight around his waist, pulling him closer, as if she couldn't bear even an inch of space between them. He continued stroking her ears, rubbing soft circles along her back, every touch deliberate and grounding. Her body rocked with each pulse of sensation, her purring uneven now, shaking under the tide building inside her. "Jonathan," she whispered, voice thin with emotion. I can't. It's all right," he murmured. "I've got you." She buried herself against him, breathing him in, every muscle tightening and relaxing in waves. Her body trembled gently, movements instinctive, unconscious, her instincts taking over completely. He held her through it, petting her ears, rubbing her back, kissing the crown of her head, letting her purr and gasp and shake with the overwhelming tide of love and closeness that swept through her. Her breath hitched, warm and shaky against his neck. Then, with a soft, helpless sound, she reached that peak of emotion. Instinctive, beautiful, overwhelming. Her body pressed close, trembling through the crest of that moment, her purring a trembling hum that faded into soft, breathy gasps. She clung to him tightly, tail wrapped, fingers curled, heart racing against his chest. And then, she relaxed, completely. A soft exhale left her lips as she melted in his arms, sinking into gentle, quiet stillness. Jonathan held her carefully, stroking her hair as if comforting the soft pieces of her heart that had just opened fully to him. Minutes passed in warm silence. Sarava nuzzled into his neck, her voice a faint whisper. "Jonathan?" "Yes." She lifted her head just enough for him to see her eyes, soft, glowing, full of tenderness. "I love you," she whispered, breath trembling. "So much. More than my instincts can handle." He pulled her closer, kissing her cheek. "I love you too," he whispered back. "All of you. Every bit." Sarava smiled, a small, blissful smile, and curled against him again, purring softly, her tail wrapped around them both like a warm, fluffy embrace. The moment stayed suspended between them. Quiet, tender, deeply bonded. Neither needed words anymore. They simply held each other, lost in warmth, love, and the gentle certainty that neither would ever let go. Sarava stayed in his arms for a long time. Minutes, maybe more. Her breathing soft and steady. Her purr a gentle melody pressed against his chest. Jonathan kept running his hand slowly along her back, comforting and steady, matching the rise and fall of her breath. Every time his fingers brushed the spot between her shoulder blades, she would sigh quietly. her whole body relaxing further into him. It felt like the world outside had faded out completely. No cold winter night, no colony noise, no other people. Just the two of them, wrapped together on the couch as if the apartment was its own little universe made of warmth and safety. Eventually, Sarava shifted, blinking up at him with half-sleepy, half-overwhelmed eyes. Her glowing gaze softened instantly when she saw his face. "You're still here," she murmured, smiling against his chest. "Of course I am." She exhaled a tiny, relieved purr. "Just making sure. I needed to check that I didn't hallucinate any of that." He laughed. "You didn't." Her tail curled tighter around him in satisfaction. "Good. Because that would be a very embarrassing dream." He stroked behind her ears again, just lightly. She let out a soft whimper and shoved her face into his shirt. "Jonathan, please. I'm still emotionally fragile." "You're cute when you're fragile. That is not helpful." He kissed her forehead. She melted again, making a tiny noise that sounded suspiciously like "mmph." After a moment, she loosened her arms from around him and shifted up enough to sit beside him, shoulders and thighs still touching, tail draped across his lap like a protective ribbon. The afterglow of intimacy lingered between them. Warm, quiet, soft. Sarava tucked her hair behind her ear, cheeks still tinted a faint pink. So, that happened. It did. "And you're all right with all of it?" she asked, voice nervous, fingers twisting lightly in the fabric of her shirt. "With me getting overwhelmed? With me biting you? With everything else?" Jonathan turned toward her fully, brushing his knuckles along her cheek. "Sarava, I'm more than all right." She blinked, slow, vulnerable. "You don't think I'm too much?" she whispered. "Never." She swallowed. "Because my instincts are strong and messy and sometimes loud. That's part of who you are. But they make me real," he said quietly. "Honest, open, and incredibly lovable." Her ears flicked violently in flustered embarrassment. "Jonathan, you can't just say things like that." "I can," he said, "and I mean them." She let out a tiny whine of happiness before covering her face again. "I'm never going to emotionally recover from how seen you make me feel." He wrapped an arm around her shoulders and pulled her gently into his side. "You don't have to recover." She leaned into him immediately, cheek resting on his shoulder, voice soft. "I feel safe with you, like my heart and my instincts finally agree on something. That I belong with you." She glanced up at him shyly. "Yes, exactly that." He rubbed his thumb across the back of her hand, feeling her tremble just a little from the emotion of it. She intertwined her fingers with his, squeezing lightly. After a few moments, she asked, "Can I say something strange?" "Always." She hesitated, ears twitching. "I think I've never felt this connected to anyone before. Not even among my own kind." He kissed the top of her head. "I'm glad I get to be the one you choose." She gave a tiny smile, gentle but glowing. "I choose you every time." They sat there in silence, the kind that only exists between two people who trust each other completely. Sarava nuzzled into his shoulder again, breathing him in with a soft sigh. Then she giggled, quiet, warm. "You know, this means the elders are going to lose their minds." He raised an eyebrow. "Because we're dating?" "Because you bit me back." He laughed. "Is that really going to matter to them?" "Oh, yes." Sarava nodded gravely. "Among VULPINE, a returned love bite is a serious thing. It's like shouting, 'I feel everything you feel.' It's basically a declaration." "And you're okay with that?" he asked gently. She reached up, placing her hand over his heart. "I've never been more okay with anything." He leaned against her, forehead to hers. Then let them be shocked. She purred softly. They will be. They'll talk about it for weeks. They'll argue about what it means. They'll speculate that we're already bonded. She paused. Are we? He didn't look away. If you want to be. Her breath caught. She smiled, slow, full of love, full of certainty. I think we already are, she whispered. Jonathan kissed her softly, hand resting behind her head as she sighed into him. When they parted, she pressed her forehead to his, eyes glowing. I love you, she breathed again, softer than before, but deeper. I love you too. She curled into him once more, tail, wrapping both of them in a warm, fluffy loop as the winter night settled outside their windows. And for the first time, no hesitation, no fear, no apology, Sarava simply let herself be happy. The apartment was quiet, except for the soft hum of the heater and Sarava's steady purring. Outside, snowflakes drifted past the windows, catching the street lights like tiny falling sparks. The whole world felt still, softened by the glow inside their shared space. Sarava shifted slowly, stretching her legs as she nestled deeper into Jonathan's lap. Her tail, always expressive, always honest, curled loosely around his waist in a lazy, contented loop. She rested her cheek on his chest, eyes half closed, glowing faintly in the dim light. I could stay like this forever, she murmured, voice warm and sleepy. I wouldn't complain, he said, brushing her hair back. She purred, a gentle vibration running through both of them. You always say things that make my heart feel too big. Is that bad? She shook her head against him. No, it's just new. I didn't think love would feel like this. Like what? Sarava lifted her head, looking at him with soft, glowing eyes. Like something warm from the inside out. Like being safe. Like being wanted, like belonging. He cupped her cheek. You do belong. Her eyes flickered with emotion, tail rolling into a slow, blissful wave. I think my instincts knew that long before my brain did. He kissed her forehead again. She melted, purring louder. After a moment, she stirred. Can I ask you something? Her voice carried that shy tremor he recognized too well. Of course. She fidgeted with the hem of her shirt, ears twitching. When you bit me back, it felt like everything inside me went soft and bright and warm, like my whole being understood something in one moment. He ran his thumb along her cheek, prompting her softly. What did it understand? Her voice dropped to a whisper. That I'm yours. He exhaled, warmth spreading through his chest. Sarava. And, she continued, cheeks burning, that you chose something I've only ever dreamed someone would choose. He rested his forehead against hers. I did. She let out a tiny, trembly sound, purring so intensely that her whole body vibrated. She hid her face against his neck, her breath hot, her arms squeezing him tight. I never thought I'd be loved like this, she confessed softly. Not with all my instincts, not with all my chaos. She laughed quietly, breathy and tender. I thought I was too much. You're not too much, he whispered. You're everything. Her eyes shimmered. She leaned up to kiss him, slowly, softly, with a tenderness that had no hesitation left in it. When they parted, she lingered inches from his lips, breathing him in. Jonathan, she said, sounding braver than ever, can we always have moments like this? Yes, he murmured. Always. She curled back into him, fingers tracing idle patterns along his chest. The quiet moments passed like drifting snowflakes, slow, soft, peaceful. After a while, Sarava whispered, Do you think your family will like me? He smiled. Of course they will. What if I sniff them by accident? She worried. Or if I purr too loudly, or if my tail does something weird, or if they see the bite marks and assume wild things. He kissed the top of her head. They'll adore you, just like I do. She let out a soft, relieved chirp and nuzzled his neck. Then I want them to know who I really am, not the version I hide, the real me. They'll get all of you, he said. Promise? Promise. Her smile was radiant. After a few more minutes, she shifted again, stretching like a cat before curling right back against him. I don't think I've ever been this relaxed, she said dreamily. That makes two of us. She giggled softly. Good. Then maybe I can say something else. He tilted his head. I'm listening. Sarava lifted her face to his, eyes glowing with that same warmth that had filled the room all night. I love you more than my instincts know what to do with, she whispered. More than biting or purring or tail wrapping could ever express. He brushed a finger down her jawline. I love you more than I ever expected to love anyone. Her breath hitched, soft, quiet, but this time from tenderness, not panic. She rested her forehead against his. Thank you for loving all of me. Always. She curled into his chest once more, tails snug around both their waists, purring softly as the night deepened around them. The room felt like a sanctuary, filled with warmth, softness, and a certainty that neither would ever walk alone again. Jonathan? She whispered sleepily. Yeah? She smiled against him, voice barely audible. Don't ever stop biting me back. He laughed quietly, brushing her hair aside. Never. And as she drifted into sleep in his arms, her purring became the gentle heartbeat of their shared future, a warm, steady promise wrapped around them both. If this story made you smile, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next HFY adventure.